Well, hello, intrepid viewers. I'm here in Buenos Aires, the home of the tango. And it's a little known fact that when I was 14, I learnt to tango on roller skates. And Hogarth was quite amused by this last night. So don't forget, if you haven't seen Hogarly from last night, that's Hogarth, Lady G, and myself. And we do that every Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss it. We do get to have a good conversation. Okay, so today, masses to cover, including Hunter Biden and everything. But with this latest shooting in Texas, oh my God. So I saw in my news feed this morning that Governor Abbott of Texas was challenged, note the word, by a Fox anchor on Texas's slack gun laws. I thought, oh, maybe we're seeing a new dawn. So I checked it out, and she said to him, 80% of Americans actually support the idea of licenses enforcing gun laws that are already on the books, raising the age to 21, etc., etc. She actually sounded like a real journalist for a minute. And then he waffled on, just saying there's more deaths by gun in California than Texas and stuff. She didn't follow it up. So she's not a journalist. She's just another commentator. And they're clones. As we know, all the women on Fox News are clones. So where to start? There's so much on. I think we'll start on 8 fake electors in Georgia who have been called in and questioned have agreed to immunity, meaning they're prepared to talk. 8. I like that. So let's see what's likely to come out of that. The fake electors in Georgia going for immunity. What will happen? Now, let's have a look. Oh, my cards must be upside down, yes. Oh, here we go. Well, I'm pleased to report these are big cards. So it's going to shift something. Okay, 5 cards, 3 major arcana. By now, you guys should all know what that means. I'm sure you do. Okay, but it starts with the Fool. Now, depending on the other cards, this has all sorts of meanings, okay? So the usual to kick off meaning is a brand new start with something, taking a risk, those sort of things. Of course, it can be a foolish act, but I don't think so, because the card crossing it is the beautiful Temperance card and moderation. So to me, those two together, before I get onto the other cards, are saying there's going to be some moderation in what could have been a more risky endeavor. By doing this, it's a safer option for them, obviously legally, but it doesn't bode well for the other players, including, you know, Lindsay, Queen of Swords, Graham, and others, because here's the Hierophant coming down on their ass, okay? Now, at this point, a compromise has been reached, which is them speaking. Now, the card I'm pleased about, the outcome card, the Magician. So the compromise being you can have immunity, even though you, 8 of you, broke the law blatantly and willfully, will let you off the hook for this. The Magician's become my new Jack Smith card, by the way, but not in this context. So we're talking Georgia. It is a game changer. I am really pleased about that. So it will unravel over time, we do have to stay patient, as we know. Okay, so the fake electors in Georgia, it's not insignificant at all. And what this means is they're going to divulge who they spoke to, who authorized them to do it, who came up with the idea of changing the electoral things and committing fraud, if nothing else. Yeah. Okay, now another disturbing report. And I haven't verified this, so you can look it up yourselves because I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is going to be important. So there was a report that the FBI used Enrique Torres and other Proud Boys as informants to try and infiltrate or to spy on Black Lives Matter and other groups they deemed left. So we've got to remember too, the FBI does not have a pretty history, particularly in regard to the left, and particularly in regard to Native American communities, you know, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They were virulent and hostile and really quite a dangerous force in those communities. So the FBI has a checkered background, but I want to know if there's any validity in this. So basically, this report was saying that the media has missed it and they're missing an important element of the national story here, right? So, and this is happening in a lot of countries, including Australia. They are bad at following up on the far right. And it's in the 70s, left organizations were organizing actual things, and now it's the right. And they haven't really moved the dial. You know, they're in these old patterns. So let's have a look at this story. I'm just going to go ever so general. The FBI and the Proud Boys spying on Black Lives Matter. Okay, let's have a look. Ah, came up again. Yeah, I'm not liking this especially much. Okay. So the FBI have been keeping their cards close to their chest, right? But there was a compromise deal and an ugly compromise deal about this. So in other words, I think it did happen. Okay. So death and then two aces. I think the FBI needs a radical clean out, top to bottom. Top to bottom, it needs a real shake-up because it's not serving modern America in these times of extreme violence being propagated by the far right. They need a boots and all overhaul. Will they get it? It's an emotional issue because the FBI is symbolic in the sort of landscape of American politics and so forth. And so I think the FBI themselves, they're not being hard-headed enough about what they do with their data, who they are spying on, who they are infiltrating, who they are acting for and against. They're not clear. Very wet card. Ace of Pentacles, Fool's Gold. So look, with this spread, I think this report is right, and we'll hear more about it. Sorry about the croak. We'll hear more about it. And one of the forgotten elements of the Ace of Pentacles You see the hedge, and there's a gap in the hedge. The pathway to the mountains goes through the gap. If you do not pay attention here and pass through the eye of the needle, oh, I'm sorry, guys, you're doomed to repeat that bit of history. So I'm seeing the FBI not doing the clean out that's necessary, and I do think this report is valid. On the other good news column, a Kentucky insurrectionist, rioter who attacked police got 14 years. I guess he'll appeal, but 14 years. Goodness. Yeah. So that's something. Now, another thing I saw this morning, it was an interview with a guy called Kevin Young, who was brought up in an evangelical household, was a devoted Trump supporter, and he had apparently a more progressive pastor than most, and it opened his eyes to the false things that was being said about the LGBTQI plus community. And I think by that he means gay conversion therapy and all of that. And he now describes himself in a state of change. The turning point for him was the death of George Floyd. And he describes himself as a post-evangelical. So I thought, let's look. Are there going to be more? Is this going to become a thing? Post-evangelical. I love the term. Is this going anywhere? Has it got any legs, or is it just him? Let's have a look. All right. Now. Okay, not bad cards, not bad cards. So at the moment, it starts off with the card of the burden. And I think it's a burden not to be educated in the secular world. I don't mean high-flying postgraduate degrees or even a college education. It's about basic education, foundational education, which is not happening in the evangelical community, is now becoming a burden. It's an economic burden, it's a social burden, it's a big burden. Some people are beginning bit by bit, plate by plate, pentacle by pentacle, are starting to look at it through new eyes. And I think this is a generational thing. So the under 40s, particularly the under 35s, and particularly under 30, they're not watching television news. They're not listening in church if they're still going to church, and we know attendance is down. So they're beginning to build, the apprentice card is about building another picture of the world. Now, 2 juicy cards. This is going to grow to some extent. Often things need to be named for people to understand they want to ally themselves with a group or organization. That's why I was really quite excited to see post-evangelical. It's crisp, it's clean. It represents everything in 2 words. It means you were brought up in that tradition, your mind was closed, it was super glued shut, and you're beginning to think. She's always about expansion. Don't get too excited, because it won't happen overnight. But again, reinforcing what I just said, the halo on the hanged man, a new perspective. And then diversity, celebration of diversity. So I feel quite optimistic about this, but we've got to always readjust our expectations of when things will happen. But that spread is saying to me it's going to be a trend, and it can't come a minute too soon. Oh my God. So Dianne Feinstein's announced she's probably going to come back to work this week. I can't speak what I think about that. Okay, and I won't speak. Okay, now, before I get to Hunter Biden, Leonard Leo, probably a few of you remember that name because it's quite a distinctive name, Leonard Leo. He was a Trump advisor for his judicial picks. He's the one that gave us Kavanaugh et al. He's just been exposed as receiving a $1.6 billion donation from the Federalist Society. Now, we know they're arch conservatives and they're big donors. I'm sorry, 1.6 billion isn't a donation. It's a war chest. You know, it's not a donation. No. If you're paying out that sort of money, you want a result and you buy and sell people. And I'll go as far as to say mansion and cinema spring into my mind. These aren't donations. It's the purchasing of people, the purchasing of votes, the purchasing of power. It's obscene. And should the Dems get up in 2024 with a good margin, there's a lot of work to be done with the Supreme Court. Because during the week, there was a judicial inquiry into this and other issues. Justice Roberts, who controls the court or doesn't control the court, who just sits around getting a huge public salary, didn't even bother to respond to the request for interview. Okay. Sorry, I've forgotten my question. What was I doing? Oh, looking into that. I don't think we have to look into the donation. It's just, will there be change and accountability with the Supreme Court? I was going to say in our lifetime, surely not. But I'll put a different time frame on it. In the next 2 to 5 years, will there be significant changes in the next 2 to 5 years or not? The Supreme Court dealing with corruption, Supreme Court. Will no ethics committee for the Supreme Court? What Disneyland rubbish is this? I mean, really. Okay. Supreme Court. Got a very slippery cloth on here. All right. Given that time frame, and I think that I deliberately said that time frame because it's post 2024. Biden and the others have enough on their plate now, et cetera, but in the next 2 to 5 years, they realize they're on the nose, right? This, even the sleepy Supreme Court justices have realized the reputation of the Supreme Court is dropping by the week. It's outrageous. So something has to be done and someone has to shine light on it. I'm getting a whistleblower vibe here, shining the light. 2 cups, people talking and lying. I think there will be at least 2 and possibly more whistleblowers about what's going on behind the scenes in the Supreme Court. They will be taking a lot on, but the Supreme Court, instead of being the highest justice in the land, is becoming a burden in its own right. But here comes the Knight of Wands. And for those learning tarot, don't get caught up in gender, particularly in these times. So we deliberately made the Knight of Wands a woman. Okay, so here she is riding into town. Knights are offers, their opportunities, their action, and moving forward at a pace. So I'm really quite happy to see that. Let's hope I'm right about that. Now, while I'm shuffling for Hunter Biden, I'm dreading doing this reading. I'll just tell you a New York story from when I was there. I was on the subway from Long Island City to Manhattan, and I overheard a guy, quite well dressed, guy say, "I shot 4 people today." My immediate reaction was, where's the exit? What am I witnessing? I really don't want to be on CNN or Australian News as the woman who was on the subway. And I realized my brain had a sort of 5-beat delay. He was talking about filming. I shot 4 people today, because he went on to say what that was about, and it was about film. So I'm pleased to report that story. Okay, now, Hunter Biden, what's our question? Let me give the cards a good split. This must be very hard on his dad, no matter how much, you try and steel yourself. So this investigation into Hunter Biden's been going on for 6 years. And I don't know, those of you who have been intrepid viewers for quite some time, I remember doing a few readings 3 or 4 years ago saying the problem with Hunter Biden getting the job, international board on some huge gas portfolio, is part of the nepotism. And I hate nepotism. Jobs for the family. I don't think I'll just stop there before you get hostile towards me and write in the comments. I'm not suggesting Biden got him the job. No. What I am saying is the privilege and power and name association, just like the Yeti spawn, means people who are not qualified for positions like senior advisor at the White House, thanks, Ivanka, these are positions that are beyond them and their capacity and the power of being part of a privileged and elite family, Okay. So my question, Hunter Biden, how's this going to go? Is he going to be charged? What's going to happen with the Hunter Biden case? What's going to happen with Hunter Biden's case? Oh, sorry. Well, yes, it is undecided at this point. Oh, my God. Look, I'll be honest, I don't think it's looking marvelous for Hunter here. The laptop saga, which was a crime in itself if other people got hold of his laptop, that's another crime and another issue. There are several things going on here. So it's being weighed up as we speak, but this is an uneven surface. So it's not like juggling, standing up, it's like juggling like this. So now the Queen of Cups, Biden is often the King of Cups to me. Hunter Biden's mother has passed, sadly, so it's not necessarily his mother. This could be Jill Biden. This could be Jill Biden. She has her work cut out for her, holding Joe up behind the scenes while this is going on. She is stressed. I think we could safely say Hunter Biden is stressed too, but this has got Jill Biden all over it. Hadn't thought of that, but that's what's occurring to me. She is very stressed by this. The message will unfold. Pages are messengers. The message will unfold and the GOP will run with it big time. 5 of Cups, loss of heart. I'll come back to this card in a second. This will affect Biden emotionally. Cups are emotion, but two cups are still standing. He's a strong individual, and with Jill's help, he will survive it, as Hunter will survive it. But back to this card, broadcasting the news. So not only all the media outlets, but the GOP, I think, are going to exploit this either way. Here's the two. If he is convicted, or at least charged, they'll say, see, the Biden family is corrupt. Yeah. If he's not, they'll say, see, the process is corrupt. So Biden can't win with this, but he knows that. He's grown up. But they'll broadcast either way. Right. So I don't think it is going to be good news for Hunter, therefore for his father, I have to say. All right, my darlings, now in other news, the coronation, which I refuse to watch, and I'm eternally embarrassed and enraged by my own country, Australia, still being part of the monarchy. I don't get it. Australians diss the English every chance they get, particularly in sport. And then when we had a referendum probably 20 years ago now to get out from the monarchy, people went, oh, no, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Oh, no. And the Conservative government at the time made the question, instead of it being, do you want Australia to become a republic, stay in the Commonwealth, but not be under a monarchy? The question was really complicated, so it sounded like the sky was going to fall in if you voted for a republic. And one of the threats was, I'll share this with you, we'll end up like America. Okay, I'm just saying. So shame, Australia, shame. Now, I, of course, refused to watch the inflated coronation. Even the term King Charles sounds foreign to me. But many people did. Billions probably did. I didn't. And if you're leaning more to my side than the pro-royal side, I'll share a link on this channel that's very special. Okay, now Scotland's been at war with England for 800 years, probably. They're not keen on the English, okay? That's a given. And there's been strong nationalist movements in Scotland, Wales, and Ireland forever. But on the day of the coronation, during the coronation, the Scottish soccer fans from the team Celtic led a chant. And all I'll say is, I can't say the full thing because I'll be demonetized, but it's basically you can shove your coronation. Okay, and it's fantastic. And it gladdened my little Irish Republican heart to hear it. It's only 20 seconds and I'm going to put it up. Okay? Enjoy. Okay, so bye for now. Let me know what you think about everything in the comments. And I'll be back soon. Ciao, ciao.